Welcome to the You on the Camino de Santiago podcast. This podcast is for and about first-time pilgrims walking the pilgrimage routes in Spain, France, and Portugal. With your host, guide and longtime pilgrim, Nancy Reynolds of the Camino Experience. What do you do when your Camino Experience is hit with a massive plot twist, and not the good kind? Who do you turn to when you are far away from home, immersed in a life-changing pilgrimage, and you are blindsided by a medical emergency? Hi, this is Nancy, and in this week's episode, you are going to hear from Pilgrim Jodi, whose Camino derailed in the most spectacular fashion. Again, not in a good way. But Jodi has found several ways to walk through the surprises and the disappointment that came with them. And today you get to hear her story. Jodi's story zeroes in on the importance of paying extra attention to what happens after the Camino. And so, as a preface to our conversation, I want to give you a preview of what's up next on this podcast. Over the next week, I will be sharing 5 short episodes specifically designed for people who have already walked one of the Camino routes. I've noticed that while getting started and taking your first steps on the Camino is the most daunting part of the pilgrimage, returning back home afterwards is, for many people, the hardest part of the whole thing. These 5 episodes are going to help with that. I will be sharing the actual community challenge we are doing right now in our new La Terraza community. The challenge is called Mining the Lessons of the Camino, and it gives us a way to find and understand the insights we picked up from our pilgrimage and how to bring them into our everyday lives. Also, to help you get the most out of these next 5 episodes, I have something else for you. It's additional content I will be sending to my email list over the next week. You can get on that list and get that content by signing up on my website at thecaminoexperience.com/challenge. That link is also in the show notes. And let me just say, if you don't want to stay on my email list after getting that extra content, it's no problem. You can just unsubscribe at the end of the challenge. Now, let me say this. If you have not yet walked the Camino, you can, of course, still listen in over the next week, but you may want to also bookmark these episodes to come back to after you finish your pilgrimage. Okay, that's that. Now, let's meet Jodi. Jodi, hi. Thank you so much for joining me on the podcast today.
Oh, thank you for having me.
I've been wanting to talk to you about your Camino experience for a while, but it's kind of funny, isn't it? Because I knew what your Camino experience was all about.
Right. You were kind of there.
I was kind of there. Lucky me. And we had an amazing start. And I'm hoping you're going to share that one story, our first hour out of Saint-Jean, if you're willing.
I will.
Okay, let's put the pin in the map first, though. Will you tell us, me, everyone, what your Camino was? What did you do?
Okay. I started with you and your May group this past May 2025 in St. Jean with full intention of walking to Santiago and on to Muxia and Finisterre. However, I had a little detour in about 250 kilometers in. I took a little break and went to the hospital in Burgos.
Okay, you say that very casually, but it was a little bit of a shock, wasn't it? I mean, it kind of blindsided you, if I remember correctly.
Oh, it more than blindsided me. It turned my world upside down and inside out. I was totally not prepared for it. I had walked into, I think it was Villafranca, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Montes de Oca.
Yeah. And just, bathroom break and a nice cold Aquarius, changed my socks, and my leg was itching. And I'm going, oh, this is kind of weird. And I thought, oh, I just walked through a narrow path and I thought, nettles, thistles, something. And yeah, and then somebody stopped me and said, "Ooh, that doesn't look good." And I said, "Yeah, it kind of itches." And they said, "Well, keep an eye on it." And long story short, the next morning, my whole left leg was bruised, and I had a ride to the hospital in Burgos and had cellulitis, so I had to stop.
Wow. Okay, cellulitis is pretty serious, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And I can't explain it a whole lot because while they were very nice at the hospital, English was very, very limited. And so I did a lot of Google doctor stuff, which is probably not the wisest thing to do when you're
Yeah.
already upset.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was definitely my walk was over for now.
Ugh, just heartbreaking. Just heartbreaking. Yeah. And, one of the things that I don't think we talk about often, and when we do, we don't talk about it well, is the disappointment and the heartbreak when your Camino goes sideways to that degree.
Right.
The disappointment it levels you.
It does. It does, and laying in the waiting room, that's a whole other story. That was quite an experience. Everything possible is going through my head. Every emotion, the anger, the frustration, the embarrassment, the everything, I mean, I probably had thought about why I might ever not complete the Camino, but this was never, ever on the radar. I never even heard of it. I mean, like everybody else, you have cellulite and that's stopping. No, 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 not cellulite. I've got
No, I
plenty
have
of that.
great thighs. Thank you very much.
But yeah, it's like it just came out of nowhere, and
Yeah.
I'm still processing. I'm starting to see it as a gift and to find the positives in it, but at the moment, I was not seeing a lot of gifts in this situation.
So you started with our group in Saint Jean. It was our
hmm
group of 10 pilgrims and myself as your guide, lucky me. And what a phenomenal group that was.
Yes, we're still in touch, and I love them. Yeah, yes,
And so there was that high and that experience of connectedness and community. And you guys just all came together beautifully and supported each other. So you started with the group. By the time you got close to Burgos, were you with anyone from the group still?
I was still seeing a couple people, passing through towns, but pretty much I was walking on my own by then.
Hmm.
I was still pretty much on the same schedule as Stephanie, and I would see Carla quite often. The others, we were all at very different paces,
Uh-huh.
and some were way on be ahead of us, walking much faster pace. But I kind of went there with the intention of needing to walk alone. But it was so wonderful knowing that I had family close by and that, I would run into them and see them, maybe in the La Terraza, in the afternoons.
Yeah, yeah. So you said you sort of went with the intention of walking alone. Why was that? Why was that important to you? Yeah, a little emotion comes up, huh? When we
Yeah.
think about what, it's when we think about the real reasons we're walking the Camino beyond the lure of the YouTube videos, right? When we start to get to the heart of why we went to walk the Camino.
I needed to go in. And I knew that. I knew somebody asked me before I left if I was walking alone, and I said, well, it was a psychic. And I said, well, dead or alive? I said, because I'm not walking alone. I'm never walking alone. And that's what I needed to do. I needed to fix my relationship with God
Okay.
and Jesus.
Oof. So vulnerable.
Yeah,
Thank you for being so honest.
yeah,
Yeah. Take a minute. It's okay. When you catch your breath, it's okay. I bet you're not alone in that. I bet there are a lot of people who go to walk the Camino, to go do a pilgrimage for that very reason. And this one is really unique because it gives us the chance to take as much time as we need away and out on these long stretches of trail to just be with whomever we need to be with.
right. And, I look back through my life at times when I was truly happy, when I felt like I was in my body. I was, you know, I was okay with who I was. I, liked myself. I liked everything that was going on. And it's times when I've been spiritually connected.
Hmm.
And, that hadn't happened since like 2001. And I actually carried a picture with me from the trip I took then to remind myself, that that's who I wanted to find again.
Beautiful. That's 24 years.
Yeah.
That's a long run.
Yeah. I was ready for a long walk. I had a lot to process.
Sure. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And do you feel that you got the chance to do that before this big plot twist dropped in? I don't know if I can or not. What did I ask you? So do you feel like you found that you were able to reconnect with that while on the trail before you hit that giant plot twist?
yes, I had finally found kind of that rhythm that I was hoping to find
Hmm.
while I was walking. You've said it, and I've heard it other places, slow to the pace of walking. And then I heard another one that says, and walk to the pace of healing. And that's where I felt I was. And I think
Oh,
that was my biggest frustration. It was like, I just got here. I just got in my groove, and now it's gone. It's like,
yeah. Yeah.
and that was frustrating. But, now I'm finding myself at home slipping back into old ways, the things I was trying to get away from. And so I am very grateful for the few weeks that I had on the Camino and this new community that we're building, because it's reminding me of what is important in my life and how to stay focused on that connection.
I love that. I want to finish up what you said about slowing to the pace of walking, which is something I say all the time.
Hmm.
And you said, walk at the pace of healing.
Yes.
And then you said something to me on a conversation we had a couple weeks ago where you thought you had to go even slower than the pace of walking. Do you remember that?
Yes.
It was something along the lines of slowing down to the pace of walking wasn't slow enough for the lesson you had to get and for the message you had to hear.
Yes.
And sometimes this was such an insight for me because we get a lot when we slow down to the pace of walking.
Hmm.
But sometimes these big plot twists or these things that completely derail our vision or our intention for our Camino means something greater than us is saying, hang on, that's not slow enough.
Yes. I call it my cosmic 4x4 upside the head.
Okay, it's a little violent, but we'll go with it.
And it's kind of happened to be throughout my life. It's like I will get doing things, and I guess I just don't take subtle hints very well.
That tap,
Sometimes,
tap, tap on the shoulder's not
yeah,
working.
no, it's like, hey, lady, slow
Kaboom.
down.
Okay.
You're not going
Okay.
to do it. I'm going to help you. And I think that's what happened.
When you said that, I thought, you know what? That is such an empowering way to look at this when it happens that your Camino plans are derailed, when you actually have to go home or stop walking early or stop for 2 weeks in Pamplona like Nisi did or Claire last week,
Right,
12 days in Pamplona.
right.
That's often when those big insights come and we actually
Yes,
get what we came for, even
yeah,
though we didn't get to finish what we started.
right. Yes.
So now that you look back on it, can you see a lesson in there? Can you see what was supposed to come through in this plot twist?
Yes. I'd forgotten my why.
Okay.
I forgot why I was walking. I mean, I knew that I wanted to become more spiritually connected, but it had become more about, and I keep using this word, and I'm not sure if it's the correct one, but ego. It was more about proving to everybody, oh, look at me, look at what I'm doing. And it's like that was diminishing the real purpose for being there. And I needed the reminder that, you know, I guess to be more humble, to be more focused. I'm not sure what the word is. I'm still trying to process it all, but I know that will get more out of it when I go back and finish my walk, which I'm going to do because I'm going to be approaching it from a different frame of mind, and it will be so much more meaningful than if I had just pushed through on the at the pace that I was at and in the frame of mind I was at or in this spring.
Such a great insight.
That makes sense.
It does make sense because you were able to see these circumstances, which weren't what you planned, as a gift, as something that happened for you, not against you.
Yes.
And that's not always easy to see.
No, it isn't, but it's so valuable when we can.
Yeah. So you've got some plans to go back. You want to share those?
I honestly don't want to share too much because I don't want to go back into that ego thing. I'm going to, but I,
Okay, stop
I,
bragging. What are you going to do?
we started walking on Mother's Day this year, and I would like to complete it before Mother's Day next year. So I will be going back sometime in April
Okay.
of 2026.
All right. Are you going to pick up where you left off?
Yes, I'm going to go right back to the albergue that I stayed at and start right from there.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
Beautiful. How did you like walking in the spring?
I loved it. Oh my goodness, it was so beautiful. So beautiful.
I wish people could see your background on your Zoom screen with that incredible shot. It's right after Sirueña, heading into Santo Domingo de la Calzada, and it's just extraordinary. Those green rolling hills and
Yeah.
I think it's the rapeseed plants.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
it's
so.
just gorgeous.
I'm a little nervous about maybe hitting more rain because
Yeah.
I think honestly I only had that first day we had a little bit of rain heading out of St. Jean, but otherwise it was beautiful weather the entire time.
You know, I call ahead and arrange that, right? For my
Yes,
groups. Yeah,
and
yeah,
I mean,
okay.
and your song truly, truly does work, and trust me, sang it
You
often.
sang my Blue Sky Puffy White
Oh
Cloud song.
yes, yes,
It's the best. I'm telling you, I think that's the best part about starting with me is you get the song, so you get the weather.
that's right. I mean, there was even one day walking, I don't even remember what town I was walking into, and I saw the rain coming, and I started singing, and as soon as I got to where my albergue was, they weren't open yet, but I was able to get under shelter, and then the rain came, and I just laughed. I'm going, okay, thank you,
That's
Nancy.
it. Yeah, it's a prayer. That's all it is.
It
It's just
is.
yeah, it's just a prayer.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I love it. So you want to share what happened our first hour out of Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port?
Oh my goodness. I don't know. Do I need to do the backstory a little bit?
A little bit. Let's do a little bit of the backstory. And you and I, we can fill it in together because we saw this from two different perspectives, right? Okay.
Okay. So I have these friends from the Netherlands that I met back in 2014 on a street corner in Seattle, geocaching, long, crazy story. Anyways, one of them, she and her husband do make badges, embroidered badges. And so I had asked her when I had decided to do the Camino to make me some to put on my backpack. Well, she made them for me, and somehow or another the address got entered incorrectly and I didn't receive them. So then we were in touch, and week or so before I got to the Camino, she said, "Well, aren't you staying a couple nights in St. Jean before you start walking? I could overnight them there." And I said, "Oh, that would be great." And so I gave her the address, and every day I had poor Bernie. I'd go out and check the mail to see if, did my package arrive? Did my package arrive? Nothing came. And it's like, okay, well, it just didn't work. So we started walking, no patches on my backpack. And we were about an hour up on the trail, and I saw this woman or a person standing on the side of the road with this big black umbrella. And I'm going, okay, that's kind of weird. And all of a sudden, I see this phone camera kind of, leaning out the side of the umbrella. And I'm going, okay, that's just creepy. And as I walked by, I kind of looked over my shoulder, and it was her. It was my friend from the Netherlands. And I'd been looking down, watching my where I was walking, and hadn't noticed that off to the left there was this huge, 4 foot by 8 foot vinyl banner with pictures of me and them, all my Dutch friends, and this big message from my Dutch family. And they all popped out from behind, and oh my God. I screamed and I cried, and Nancy screamed and she cried, and I don't even remember who I was walking with, but everybody was crying,
I
and
think you were with Stephanie at that point.
oh, it was just,
The fun thing was, I was about 100 yards behind you, and all of a sudden there's this big commotion up on the trail. And I've done this a bunch of times. I know that's not a point where there should be commotion. And so I'm like, what is going on here? And I see you stopping, and I could see you all just freaking out and just swirling, commotion, excitement. And so yeah, so when I walked up, I could not believe it. What did they drove what
16 hours
16 hours from the Netherlands to Saint Jean to surprise you
and bring me the badges.
and bring you the badges? Because they never had been mailed to Saint Jean, right?
No, no,
Okay, so they hand delivered the badges. That was the excuse.
yes.
And they also thought that maybe they'd get an hour with you. Maybe.
Well, yeah, I mean, and they, and I told them, I said, I have to keep walking. And they even said, we knew we would only get 5 or 10 minutes. And I think it was you that suggested that they could join us up at Orson,
Yeah, yeah.
for a while to visit. And so they went off and did their thing for a while and met us up there after, I got finished walking. And I mean, I don't remember a lot of the climb, honestly. I think that made it so much easier because I think I floated the whole way. I was
Yeah.
just like in such disbelief. And I mean, it's like, what amazing friends to drive
Yeah.
16 hours and then to turn around and drive home knowing they were only going to see me for a few minutes. But they also brought extra badges that I got to pass out to people along the trail, and it was fun throughout the next 2 weeks. It was, oh, hi Jody. It's like, and they would just look at me, Orison Dutch, and it's like, oh my gosh. I said, I'm a celebrity. They're celebrities.
And the thing is to get how premeditated this was because they made that sign.
In November.
Oh my gosh. They had to gather all the photos. They came up. Do you remember what the message was on the sign?
I can look it up.
Let's look it up because it was so cool.
It was, and they're just the best people. I'm so lucky to have this crazy family.
Who you met on a street corner geocaching.
Yes, and it was kind of fun because one of them just came, brought his wife and daughter to visit me last week, and we went back to geocaching headquarters where we had first met, 11 years ago. So that
I
was kind of
love it.
fun. Oh, here it is.
Okay.
Okay. So it says, Dear Jody, step by step with strength in your heart and the wind at your back, we believe in you every mile of the way. Your Dutch family. And I think one of the coolest things is somebody in our group said, walked by and told them, oh, that's our Jody. And they said, no, that's our Jody.
Oh man, how does it feel to be so well loved?
Oh, unbelievable. And then, of course, after, ending up in the hospital and I couldn't fly home because that long of a flight with the cellulitis wasn't good, they had me come and spend 2 weeks with them, and they took care of me until I was well enough to go home. So
Wonderful.
I am very blessed.
Wonderful.
Yep,
Yeah. So that was the start.
that was the start.
And that start, we never could have forecast the way it was going to go.
No,
Couldn't have expected it to end that way.
no.
So now I'm imagining you when you go back and the significance and the emotion that will accompany restarting your Camino in San Juan de Ortega and walking from there to Santiago and maybe onto the coast. What do you think that's going to be like?
I was going to say anticlimactic after that, but um, that'll always be with me. That
Mhm.
start will always be with me, and I know that, um, it's amazing to have family and friends who support your dreams.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. There's some really special people. Yeah. Oh, thanks for sharing all that. Yeah. So you've got some time between now and then. So we're recording this in August and you're going to go next April. So that is what? How many months away? 8 minus 4, 4 months away? No, 8 months away.
8 months. Yeah.
Nancy's good at math, just so you know.
I had to use my fingers, so
1, 2,
you're
yeah,
good.
exactly, exactly. Yeah, so eight months away. And so you've got some time to prepare
Yeah.
emotionally and spiritually, physically. You're back out
Physically.
walking again?
A little bit.
Yeah.
I've had a new twist. I I inherited the lovely family arthritis, and it has decided to flare up in my feet and ankles.
Oh, phooey.
But I'm not going to let that stop me.
Good. Good. You really trained. You really did,
Yeah.
right? For this one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think you may have been the most well-trained person in our group in May.
Even though I was slow.
Yeah, but what we discover is that that's not that big of a deal. That's not really a problem that
No.
you're slow. That,
No.
but you're moving. You're keeping a consistent pace and you're moving.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well done. Okay, so you've got these 8 months to get ready, and you also have a community of pilgrims now who
Yes.
are a part of your life. You've got this group of the other 10 people from our group who you're still in contact with.
Yes.
Yeah. And you also are one of the founding members of La Terraza, our new pilgrim community. So you've got that support. So imagine with me how that group will be supporting you over the next 8 months.
Oh my goodness. So many ways. It's hard to even know where to start. The emotional support is probably the biggest. One of the hardest parts getting ready to go last spring and coming home has been having no one who really gets what I'm doing. They just, oh, you're going for a long walk. Oh, that's cool. And they didn't really understand any of the spiritual background to it. Coming home, I've honestly had, I think, two people who really genuinely wanted to know how the trip went, beyond, oh, how's your leg and how much did it cost?
Hmm.
And that's very hard. And so having this community has been such a godsend because everybody there gets me. They know, and it is just a safe, wonderful place. In the middle of the night when I can't sleep, I know I can get on and type something in and just say what I'm thinking, or if I read something or watch, see something in a movie and it's like, oh my gosh, this reminded me of the Camino. And I can get in there and share it and everybody responds. And it's just it's the community that I was looking for on the Camino that I was worried about not having when I got home. But I
Okay.
have it
You
now.
have it.
I
Yeah.
mean, we may not see each other in person yet, but it's just the knowing that there are people who get me, who get the Camino, who are supportive and there and so authentic and open and honest with each other. It's just, it's beautiful. The messages, the depth of sharing that's going on between, virtually total strangers, but that's what the Camino does. And
Yeah.
I just, oh, it's perfect. I
I
love it.
love that. Yeah. It is really interesting. And I've noticed that you have been able to share more authentically and more openly because you're speaking into this safe space.
Yes.
We didn't do it formally, but we've done it intentionally. And that is to create a place that's safe to talk about these moments of absolute bravery when you stepped out onto the Camino, or when something came up that you weren't expecting, or when you came home and nobody wants to talk to you.
Yeah.
And I don't know where people go to talk about that. So we can talk about our Camino experiences here and there, but how do we talk about the fact that we can't talk about our Camino experiences to many people? These are the people who
Exactly.
go, yeah, totally get you. Totally. Yeah.
Well, and even, when we were walking, and I've noticed this now, and I think we talked about it before, is that the group of 10 that we started with, I just, fell in love with all of them. They're amazing. But, I honestly couldn't tell you a whole lot of personal things about any of them
Yeah.
because we didn't go there. We went to topics so much deeper.
Yeah.
And, I think of people that I met, on the trail that I don't even remember their names now. And the conversations we had are deeper than I've had with, my best friend of 60 years, and, I maybe only spent a half an hour with them.
Uh-huh.
There's just something about people on the Camino that are real that you don't find anywhere else.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I'm working on some theories about that. And I've been sharing about that in the online course that's in there, the online course called Bringing the Camino Home.
Yeah,
And one of the things that we've been exploring, I wonder if you listened to the session on liminality and communitas.
not yet.
Okay, so let me know when you listen to that, because there's something that is going on the Camino that honestly in nearly 20 years I had barely heard talked about, barely. And it's this idea of liminality and communitas. So that is in La Terraza. That's part of the online
Okay.
course for Bringing the Camino Home, one of the modules where we talk about that. So anyone listening, if you want to do a quick Google search, go for it. But when you join La Terraza, you get the whole module. You get the whole thing of what just happened that you actually didn't know was happening.
Uh, well, I know what I'm doing tonight.
I know, right? Yeah, it's really, I had so much fun writing that. So much fun writing that. Yeah. Since you've been in La Terraza, is there anything that you've noticed that you're doing differently or feeling differently directly because of something that you saw or did or experienced in La Terraza? Any, I guess we'd call it results or any wins since you've been in there.
It, this kind of happened yesterday. Just being aware of things around you that remind you of the Camino or remind you to be in the spirit of the Camino when you're out and about in your normal day. And yesterday I was at the beach and there was a man standing there holding a rock. Normally would have just walked by, but instead I stopped to talk to him and say, "Oh, let me see your pretty rock. I'll show you, this is the one that I picked up today." And we ended up standing there for over half an hour talking. And it was the most interesting conversation. And it's like I wouldn't have done that, but it was just you see somebody and they're there in your life for a reason. Quit ignoring things that could be such gifts.
Mm, beautiful.
And we just had, a great conversation. Yeah.
Wow. It's a great example. And especially because our monthly theme for August is mining the lessons of the Camino. And sometimes, when I'm writing the content for that, I think, Okay, how do we do that? Do we just go through and go, here's the lesson number one, lesson number two, lesson number three? But it's not that linear.
No.
Finding the lessons of the Camino is more about noticing your thoughts have changed, your feelings have evolved, and your
Mhm.
actions are different. And so it's not a lesson, simplify your life. Don't rush. It's not those kind of lessons. It's the kind of things where I'm now being different in my daily life. Oh, that's because of the Camino.
Right.
And that's what we're discovering in the month of August is those subtle little lessons that are really sneaky. They're
Yep.
nuanced. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Excellent. So, what would you say to someone who's thinking about joining La Terraza?
Why haven't you done it already?
Okay. Well, we know why because I haven't opened registration
Oh,
yet.
okay.
Registration opens, let me get the exact date. Let's see here. I'm just going to look at the calendar. Registration opens on Tuesday, August 19th.
Well, I hope you will join us because the more like-minded souls we have in there, the more each of us is going to grow and the better this world is going to become because we're going to spread the Camino love.
And that's exactly the vision. That's exactly the vision. Camino magic and the spirit of the Camino in our families, circles of friends, and communities. Excellent.
And I think another, for when you get back, and it is easy to get sucked back into the old grind, the old way of life. It is so important to have some source that is going to draw you back. And I believe that's what this community is doing for me.
Fantastic. Jodi, thank you so much for spending this time with me and sharing your Camino experience and your coming home experience. I think a lot of people will relate to your story.
Well, hopefully not with the cellulitis.
Right, let's skip that particular plot twist. Thank you very
Yes.
much.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if
Um,
anybody needs to know what to do in a hospital in Spain, you talk to either Jodi or Claire from last week because they both
okay.
know. All right.
Thank you so much, Nancy.
Thank you, Jodi. It's just been a pleasure.
Yeah.
All right, we'll wrap it up there. Bye.
Bye.